here today with Lyle Ekdahl, who's Senior Vice President, General Manager of J.D. Edwards, and I just wanted to have the opportunity to ask you some questions from your perspective on the product. And we've been talking a lot of late in both of our marketing and education sessions on postmodern ERP, the importance of staying current, encouraging clients to get to the latest releases and getting all the benefits. I was wondering if you could comment on that from a J.D. Edwards
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, Paul, thanks for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my view on things. When it comes to postmodern ERP, I think it's helpful for us to sort of recognize where we've come from. It's good to know what pre and modern is before you talk about what post is. And I think a lot of that is born out of supporting business that was really all about providing stability for the business, efficiency. It was really about a top-down process stabilization for the company and standardization that really bears out in terms of efficiencies and standardization, right? And so that's still important. But what I would say in a postmodern world is we're mapping to sort of a new set of business priorities that have been layered on top of that. And really in today's marketplace, it's as much about agility and innovation as it is about the standardization and the efficiencies. So based on that, when you talk about postmodern ERP, it needs to map to that. It's really about transformational business processes. Right. It's really about making things smarter, right? So what are we doing strategically with our ERP? Are our processes, can they be mobile enabled? Can they be enabled for real-time interaction? And that's really, I think, the big value in the postmodern world of ERP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's amazing that the product J.D. Edwards itself has always had those attributes, but it's on steroids now, it seems. Just the flexibility and the adaptability, but now the openness from a connectivity standpoint, we're seeing a lot of interest in that, and that kind of flows into the hybrid mentality, I guess, or what the term is, of not only using a J.D. Edwards and the power of that, but extending its capabilities with some of the clouds.
Right, yeah, and our view is that J.D. Edwards is a huge enabler for a hybrid environment. But one of the things that we like to educate people about in terms of hybrid is really the amount of choices that you're going to have, because it's more than just an option between on-premise and in the cloud SaaS, or how the two of those interoperate together. Mm-hmm. It's looking at each distinct layer of the solution and how you have choice and control about how you want to deploy those various workloads. Right? Mm-hmm. So do you want to take basic infrastructure out of the equation? Do you want to deploy J.D. Edwards on somebody else's networking, compute, storage, service? Right? That gives you degrees of freedom for how you want to go to market. And what we see is that by creating all these choices for our customers, they'll be able to plot their course to postmodern ERP and certainly to the cloud, and do that in a way where they can change their mix of labor and capital and how they best apply that. And that frankly gives them differentiation in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're seeing, absolutely, because I guess there's certain products that are more commonly seen working with the J.D. Edwards. We see a lot, there's a lot of interest in Oracle Transportation Management mm-hmm. and supply chain solutions, certainly HCM and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and certainly those sorts of additive and enhancing functions, best of breed functions, have existed for years. Mm-hmm. One of the choices that you have is, do you use what comes out of the box with J.D. Edwards, or do you extend and use one of these best of breeds? And again, that comes down to where are you going to get the best return for your investment, where are you going to get strategic advantage or perhaps a differentiation for your company. And what's new today, beyond these, what we used to refer to as edge applications, is many of them are delivered as cloud-based services. Right? So how do you fit that into your overall mix, again, to gain some advantage in the marketplace?
Right. Is the when you talk cloud, there's an expectation, obviously, from customers. It's controlled releases and updates, mm-hmm. and you have to adapt to that schedule. And I know there's been a lot done with J.D. Edwards as far as making that very similar, that process for updating rather than upgrading. There's tools available to speed that process up. What are some of the plans?
Well, and I think that's why we like the notion of an evolution through hybrid. What we refer to as hybrid cloud, is that it will give you more choice around those elements of control, right? So if everything is in a pure SaaS environment, right, you're in a certain, what they refer to as fleet, okay? And those fleets have a schedule. And by that, they upgrade, patch, right? They touch your system
Right.
per that schedule, whether that works for you or not. Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do this on Saturday. Oh, but we happen to have operations in Australia where Saturday evening is actually Monday morning. So we want to have some control over that. So that's why hybrid cloud and what workloads you decide to deploy where is so important. Having that choice, right, to be able to deploy those workloads where you need them. So more mission critical operations, right, you would want to have more of that control. And certainly mission critical operations, if you're in life science or health industries, right, where every change has to be audited, has to be fully tested and audited. And you can't just be at the whim of some SaaS vendor that tells you, no, we're going to do the whole fleet, right, on Sunday night. It's just not the way it works. So we see this, this world, this evolving world, giving you more choice, more control, and JD Edwards is giving you the tools then to also behave more cloud-like, right, so that you can stay more current, but at a schedule that makes sense for you, right? So especially with 9.2 and a simplified upgrade, we see lots of customers getting huge value out of that, reducing the amount of effort it takes to get from one release to the next by as much as 80%. That's a huge yield for our customers. And then we've gone to a more continuous delivery model anyway, where we're delivering software all the time. The Big Bang releases, that world has really come to an end. And now we're on a much more, what I think is a sustainable glide path with sort of reoccurring more innovation packs that can be applied at the choice of the customer when it makes sense for their business.
That's interesting. When we look at, our tagline always used to be technology is the easy part. We work with really good products and that's not the hard part, although it's impossible. It's very difficult to make it that way, but it's really a people and a process thing. You've actually done that even more so now, right? So when we've given a presentation, the talk was about testing these releases, staying current. You get these updates, and you mentioned just now on the pharma side on SaaS models, but the same thing with doing updates. With
and Paul, that's where technology can be another huge enabler, right? Yeah, it used to be all this testing was done manually. There's no reason why our customers need to do everything manually anymore. In fact, they can reduce the amount of manual testing down to a very, very minimum surface area. So much of this can be automated now, and of course that's what we've invested on the JD Edwards side. Sort of our traditional model was also built around big manual test. We've reduced about 90% of that out of the equation now, where we have tens of thousands of scripts that run on a regular weekly basis against a live code line. It produces higher quality software too at the end of the day, right, than going through these big build and then manual test cycles. If you're just running those automated scripts continuously, we're going to find things earlier in the process, fix them earlier, and release them out. 9.2, the heaviestly tested product we've ever done, and frankly the statistics are bearing this out. That testing has yielded the best quality product that we've ever had in the marketplace today with 9.2.
Yeah, it is amazing from our perspective when we're rolling it out.
And so now what we're saying is customers employ that same strategy, right? And we're giving you the tools. Certainly Oracle has a tool, something called Oracle's Application Testing Suite, or OATS. That's the same tool we use. We've actually have some basic pattern scripts that we provide today to the marketplace. And the next thing we're doing currently in beta now with some of our partners is we have a script builder that will help you take our pattern scripts, modify them to your needs, or build out whole new sets of scripts for your environment so that your testing is then very specific to your deployment.
That's great. And from our perspective, it forces the customer to actually start documenting their processes and expected outcomes and such.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, right. So we gotta start over.
Here's the thing: always best practice, right? But not always practical, right? Because of the amount of effort that it took, right?
Yeah.
The amount of manual work that took. And what I'm saying is, we're bringing tools and automation to the forefront in those areas to really help our customers.
That's going to be huge. I guess one of the other things that in the latest release, citizen developer, it's the concept is great and it's resonating with our customers, at least. I know that much. They're very interested in moving forward and with that philosophy. Nobody wants to have custom code or write custom code if they don't have to. And I think everybody's intentions are to be standard and vanilla as much as possible.
Right.
It just can't get out of that trap. What is the whole philosophy behind citizen developer?
Well, we sort of have a saying around this, and it's not whether our customers will customize, it's how they customize that's important.
That's true.
Right? And the fact of the matter is there are very good reasons for customizing, right? And it's about creating that differentiation for your business. Certainly there's a lot of the stuff today, as mature as the platform is and as much as effort we put into it, there's a lot of it that can just be run out of the box. But frankly, on the margin, if there's things that make you different in your business, in your industry, and it's not there, then you ought to be able to have the tools to configure that, to personalize that, right, to create that experience without touching the core code. Right? The fact of the matter is there's just always going to be more ideas of what we can do with strategic systems like ERP than there are traditional developers to develop them. Right? So the idea is, how do we enable a marketplace? How do we push out those capabilities to everyone from sort of traditional IT developer all the way through analysts and to power users and even the end users themselves, right? How can we enable them? And so what we've brought to market is really a set of certainly design time tools, but beyond that, it's really low code to no code runtime tools that then can be taken by your average user to just make small tweaks to how they work with the product, making them more efficient and more effective.
With tools like that, you've got IoT Orchestrator and you got OVR, which was well received.
Well, again, it's putting tools in the hands of everyone from the ecosystem, right, our partners, through to our customers, to enable them to differentiate, right, to tap into these disruptive technologies such as IoT, right, that can really be transformative to your business processes. Imagine what it means by taking humans out of the day-to-day of data, the actual data entry and data capture. There's a funny little thing about the human condition is we're actually very poor digitizers of information. We're very good at viewing information and making cognitive decisions based on that information. But the actual mundane route of digitizing information, we're error prone. Machines do it much better. Right? So now we start to let the machines do the bulk of the data capture, the data entry, and now that frees up human capacity, what we refer to as sort of brain space, to go work on those things that are really important for the business.
So with all this, all the technology that's built in, functionality is always there. Where are things going? I mean, you're just more of the flexibility, the adaptability, the innovation from a product standpoint.
Yeah, certainly more of those things. And we don't have, as I always say, we don't have a perfect crystal ball, so I can't tell you what the world of technology will deliver to us in the next 5 years. But right now, we're working very heavily back on our user interface. We've developed a paradigm around alert, analyze, and act. It requires a lot of data visualization that we're then injecting into the product. Again, it's also leveraging off what we've delivered with mobile to date to see how we can do a better job of using the alternative platforms such as smartphones or pads to be involved in that actual data entry without end user interaction on that device, right? Just simply by being in a location, right, is information that might be pertinent to the business, believe it or not, right? So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at right now to really enable our customers to truly layer in these transformative technologies against their business processes.
All the more reason for them to stay current, right?
All the more reason to stay current.
I guess, closing, we're advocates of the product. We're big fans. I've been working with it for many years myself, but competitive landscape as it is, they're taking advantage of some of the noise that they're hearing between cloud and prem and this and that, and Oracle's the big beast.
There'll always be those who prefer to use fear, uncertainty, and doubt to get their way in the marketplace. Yes, that's not our approach. Certainly is an approach, but we like to focus more on what we're delivering to the marketplace, as opposed to this particular competitor doing or that particular competitor is doing. What I'll tell you is there's a very real reason for the noise, and the noise is an important piece of the process. Customers, before they buy something, always go through an awareness, understanding, and belief process. And awareness is a big hurdle to get over, right? That's why you hear a lot of noise out there, is people are trying to make customers aware of these transformational capabilities that are out there. Everything from IoT, big data, in-memory, cloud, right? These are big concepts that can add big transformational capabilities to your company, but you got to become aware of them first, right? And so that's sort of the first step. Then I think, we rely, on trusted advisors, people like WhiteLight Group, to really be those guys that can help us deliver the message of understanding. What can you do with these things? How does that fit within your current landscape? Right, so that customers can make serious choices, and not just choices based on a vague awareness, right? They want to understand it. And then, then that's where we work together, you and I, and we deliver products and solutions that have customers believing that it can change their businesses for the better.
Right. Yeah, and certainly, from my perspective, I've watched some of the competitors, and I think J.D. Edwards is clearly differentiated right now compared to the competitors, and that's probably why there's a lot of fear.
Yeah, well, that's that's what we pride ourselves on, and it's because we've remained focused, right? We remain focused within a set of sectors, right, that are really bounded by sort of industrial services, manufacturing, distribution-based companies, consumer-based product companies. Food and beverage falls into there, and then certainly those companies that have big investments in assets, or natural resource-based companies, and that's really we bound the J.D. Edwards space by that, and then remaining focused inside there, and then delivering tools to that entire plethora of potential citizen developers, right, is going to allow people to determine exact differentiation for their company within their specific vertical industry. And that's got the competition a little scared, because I think we've hit upon a really good recipe there.
I think you have too. Really excited about it. Anyway, thank you very much for taking the time.
Paul, you
appreciate it. We're looking for more great things to come.
Yeah, enjoyed our time together. Thank you.
Bye-bye.